In the exhibition, we have a number of garments, including the dress by designer Michelle Smith of Millie that is worn in our portrait of Mrs. Obama. There's a suit that was sewn for Jacqueline Kennedy by Shani Non. And then we have a gown that Mrs. Reagan wore, that Nancy Reagan wore at the second inauguration. This is one of the garments, the few garments that she actually wore twice, because she also wore it to receive their Royal Highnesses, Prince Charles and Princess Diana, when they came to the White House. And it was such a, I remember as a young girl seeing this, it was such an amazing evening because Princess Diana danced with John Travolta. It was a really great night. But Mrs. Reagan was really known for fashion and for clothing and for her red dresses. And red was her signature color.
Right. Well, Mrs. Reagan, of course, was an actress. She had in her prior life, of course, and had that sense of style, sense of couture, and really brought that elegance, with her and her signature style, including wearing red, to the White House. It's a color she loved to see herself in. Her beautiful portrait that hangs also in the Vermeer Room at the White House, and now, at least at the time of when we were in the administration. Now I believe it's in the ground floor corridor in the East Wing.
This is the portrait by Aaron Schickler,
The Aaron
who
Schickler
also
portrait.
did the portrait that we have from Time Magazine that's on view.
That's right, and really captures, her in her elegance, and of course in her signature color. Her inaugural gown, yes, as you said, she wore it twice, was quite beautiful and elegant, and really seeing it on display, you're reminded of what a tiny person, Nancy Reagan
But the perfect
was.
size too. And that dress, I asked the textile conservators when
Yes.
they were unpacking
Right.
it weighs almost 20 pounds.
It is, exactly. I mean, with all the beading and, it's so heavy, but it looks so effortless, or she carried it so effortlessly, of course, on inauguration night of 1985. And remember, that was the inauguration that was canceled earlier in the day. The weather in Washington had been so bitterly cold, so the inauguration ceremony at the Capitol, the parade, all those things had been canceled, but the evening balls did go on, of course, because they were indoors. So it was just a spectacular view for people to have of the Reagans, because they were really deprived of it, earlier in the day. But it is really something when you see sort of the clothing of personal artifacts of the First Ladies and what they've worn, the capelet that you have of Mrs. Lincoln's, and you can picture them in this. It just gives you, a sense of who they are, their personalities. And again, I just think, we want to feel a personal connection to our presidents and our first families. And one of the most direct ways to do that is through the president's spouse.
Well, I hope that when people come to the exhibit, they get that personal connection and that sense of how important these women were, how different they were, and how their lives really, do mirror the history of this country.
They absolutely do. I mean, this is an important part of telling our nation's story, is through all of those who have had the privilege and honor really to be in public life and serving the American people. And we want to know as much, or we should want to know as much as we can about them. And their complicated lives and complex stories, particularly our early first ladies and our early first families, and who some were slaveholders, of course, and some had slaves in the White House. And we really tried to, at the White House Historical Association, to tell that story of slavery in the president's neighborhood and some of the early occupants of the White House. But our nation continues to evolve, as it should, continues to be more inclusive in telling our full story. And an exhibit like this, really, and the narrative that you've at least captured for each person, they want you to investigate more in who they were, what their backgrounds were, how they came to be in this position in public life, what they did with it, what they've left behind, what we can learn from them, and how we move forward as a country.
Thank you so much, Anita. This has
Thank
been
you.
wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor. I appreciate it.